two things at the onset. I'm really humbled to be here because out of all the partners, I was privileged to be asked to speak today, and like Louisa said, is that there are so many fabulous stories. And in saying that, I also feel a bit like a fraud because I don't think that I did enough in my partnership. Deirdre, who I was honored to work with, is an amazing principal who's had her own challenges in her own personal life as well as the school. And I just feel that I could have done more. We could have done more. But in that, there's a lesson as well, which I've learned amongst all the other lessons being part of this program, is that every little bit counts. So you don't need to go in planning to change the world and suddenly changing this underperforming school into a Model C school, or the schools that we were used to, that had halls where you could have your assembly instead of the hot sun without a cover, or a proper field that you could play soccer and netball on, rather than lines drawn on the tarmac. So for me, I want to say that I'm here to share my experience, but also to encourage you. To say that you may not have all the answers. In fact, I think that I've also been very selfish in that I feel that I've learned more than I've given to my partner and to my principal, Deirdre. And I want to talk a little bit about the circle of life. So there are a few coaches in the room, and most of us have been for coaching. And I was fortunate to have Dina as my coach, and that's how I heard about the program. And I think one of our first exercises was to draw the circle of life. And just to remind you, it's that circle you draw with sort of 8 areas, and you rate yourself in terms of how you're doing in that area. So it's your finances, it's your health, your spiritual life, your family. And one of those components is your contribution to society. And I can tell you, my circle didn't look big and circular. It looked pretty much like a jagged edge. So some highs and then really big lows. And the major low was I felt something was missing in my life. And I couldn't put my finger onto it. And after I did that exercise, I realized what it was. I wasn't giving back enough. And I think that when you start the program, it is overwhelming. I've never been a parent. I've never had kids at school. I had no idea how the schooling system worked. But as you get into it, you realize that you help each other. I have things that you don't know, you have things that I don't know, but together we know a lot. And Partners for Possibility has transformed my life. It has taught me perseverance. It has taught me that things always don't go as planned. And you may have your business strategy, you may have it all together, your vision and your mission. And you'll set up the computer lab with the computers that were donated by some company. So literally dumped at the school, tick, done, but nobody to install it. And you get EOH, if you're here, well done, to come through and set it all up and have this lovely computer lab. And then you get called a week later to say that over the weekend the school was broken into and everything was stolen. And you go back 10 steps and you persevere. And you realize that even though we have hectic schedules, that giving is really rewarding. So those of you who have children or parents, etc., I always think of the joy of my nephews. I give them a gift, and that joy that I see on their faces when they unwrap it is far better than the gift that they give me. And it seems like a silly analogy, but it's really that simple. It's seeing the joy of the girls after school who've had a puncture on their netball get a new netball to play on that hand-drawn tarmac. It's those little things that you start appreciating. And that's what it's about, really. Getting that circle bigger feeling fulfilled in your life, and seeing smiles on faces. We have a responsibility as business leaders. We have a responsibility to make this country better. We have a responsibility to change people's lives. And we have a responsibility to just be better people and do better and lead by example. And all of you here have committed your time to being here, and I can assure you that committing yourself to a program like Partners for Possibility is far more rewarding than I can ever stand here and explain to you. And it's people like yourselves who will make a difference and change this community.